The UK and EU are coming for your money and your bank account. It's not hyperbolic whatsoever. The European Central Bank just admitted their central bank digital currency will have $500 saving limits. I mean, that's in stark contrast to the message that we've been getting from Christine Lagarde all these months. They seem obsessed with it, as if they mention the word holdings 41 times in the update this week. But this isn't the first time that they've hinted at confiscation. And they're not the only country talking about it either. The UK has also been advancing their central bank digital currency. This is a worldwide phenomenon, and that will also have a holding limit. We have a lot to talk about today, but let's start today's deep dive with this most recent clip from the head of the European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde. Let's check it out.
Hello. I have good news for you on the digital euro front. Today, the Governing Council has decided to move ahead on the next and final phase of the preparatory work for the digital euro. The other good news is that on October 23rd, the European Council has asked us and all those involved to accelerate the process so that we can roll out the digital euro as early as possible. This is important because as much as banknotes will continue to circulate, we want cash to be in the form of digital euro as well, so that you can circulate banknotes and click cash with the digital euro. More work is going to be done in the next few months, and if we receive the approval by the European Parliament in the course of 26, we'll be able to pilot the digital euro as of 27. And if the pilot is conclusive and positive, it will be a formal rollout in the whole of Europe in 2029. This is a big project because the euro is our currency, your currency. It brings us together. It's a symbol of trust in our common destiny. So off we go with the digital euro in that next and final phase of the preparation.
So that is one of the most dystopian things I've ever seen. And it's very important to pay attention to the narrative and the framing that she's using, right? She's making it seem like this is good news. This is your money. This is great for Europe. This is fantastic. But if you take a look at the details, it tells a very different story, right? So let's take a look at some of their own, their own language. And shout out to our boy Luke Mikic, who covered this the other day. Digital euro holding limits in a range identified in the request, namely from 500 euros to 300 euros per individual. Yeah, if you do a search on the page itself, it's the holding limit term is mentioned 41 times. So let me get this straight. You work for money. You spend time away from your family. You have the 9 to 5. You grind. You put your head down. You get to work. You pay the taxes on that money. But also, with the CBDCs, now they're getting to say how much money you can hold. And I think down the line, it's very obvious what you can and what you cannot do with that money. I mean, if that is one of the most dystopian things, I don't know what is. And then the question that I have for you guys is, what problem does this solve? A government is supposed to represent your needs. It's supposed to represent, it's supposed to better your life. That's the whole point, right? But all I'm seeing here is a quest for power and control. And again, if you take a look at the videos, none of that is mentioned. It's mentioned in a very TikTok type fashion, like this is great news. This is excellent. We want your input. And this is your money, to use her words. But they never mention the fine details. They never mention the fine print. So it continues to say in this other Reuters article, it's not only in Europe that there's going to be this cap. Also in the United Kingdom, Britons face 20,000 digital pound cap under Bank of England plan. Britons would be limited to 20,000 digital pounds each if the country goes ahead with a digital currency. Bank of England Deputy Governor John Cunliffe said on Tuesday, Britain's government said on Monday that it and the BOE were pressing on with work on a possible digital pound that was likely to enter circulation in the second half of this decade and be held in a wallet provided by banks, although no final decision has been made. We propose a limit between £10,000 and £20,000 per individual as the appropriate balance between managing risks and supporting wide usability of the digital pound. A limit of £10,000 would mean that 3/4 of people could receive their pay in digital pounds, as well as holding pre-existing balances in the same amount. While a £20,000 limit would allow almost everyone to use digital pounds for day-to-day transactions, money above the cap would be swept into a customer's commercial bank account, given that a digital pound would not be a means for storing wealth. I mean, like, that last part is insanity. So, okay, hold on. Let's connect the dots here for a second. So, just because the pounds are swept to a bank, that doesn't solve the inflation thing. That doesn't solve the inflation issue whatsoever at all. Zero. What I think is happening is that this is a reaction to the popularity of stablecoins, which is happening worldwide. People are adopting specifically digital dollars via Tether and Circle and all the other stablecoins, specifically Tether. And this is a reaction to it. But the way that I'm interpreting this is a problem seeking a solution. Like this isn't meant to better your life. Like, they're pitching it to you like it's going to make your life better, but none of the videos and all the happy talk, because that's what we've been hearing, we don't hear any of the caps. We don't hear any of the regulations. And if you're in the United Kingdom, like at least here in the United States, there are so many means of payment, whether that's Zelle, Cash App, PayPal. So again, what is the necessity for a central bank digital currency? I don't see one. For a person, I don't see one. For an individual, I don't see one. Now, for a government, for a politician, I do see one, because you keep people within the system. And then that leads me to, again, this is a must-read book if you're a Bitcoiner at this point, the book, The Sovereign Individual. And I think it perfectly laid out why these things were going to happen and how they're happening. So new technologies will allow this is, mind you, this was written in the 1990s. New technologies will allow the holders of wealth to bypass the national monopolies that have issued and regulated money in the modern period. Their importance for controlling the world's wealth will be transcended by mathematical algorithms that have no physical existence. In the new millennium, cyber money controlled by private markets will supersede fiat money issued by governments. It continues to say, lacking their accustomed scope to tax and inflate, government, even in traditionally civil countries, will turn nasty. As income tax becomes uncollectible, and of course, I'm talking about the fiat tax, right? The inflation tax. Older and more arbitrary methods of extraction will resurface. Now connect the dots, right? Roger Ver, he gave up his citizenship. And a couple years later, he was arrested for, they said that he owed taxes, and he ended up settling, right? I think it was like a $48 million settlement. But again, you're seeing the parallels, right? What happened to Arthur Hayes? What happened to CZ, right? This is what we're talking about, is they're going after the entrepreneurs that are building the rails and the mechanisms for people to use alternatives to fiat money. And I think that is the main motivation as to why roll out these central bank digital currencies as fast as they're doing. The ultimate form of withholding tax, the de facto or even overt hostage taking, will be introduced by governments desperate to prevent wealth from escaping beyond their reach. Unlucky individuals will find themselves singled out and held to ransom in an almost medieval fashion. Businesses that offer services that facilitate the realization of autonomy by individuals will be subject to infiltration, sabotage, and disruption. This is coming on the heels of the Samourai wallet developers getting 5 years in prison for developing a privacy tool. So this is where we are in the moving, ladies and gentlemen. And again, more proof, more evidence to back this case up. This just broke a couple days ago. France advances tax proposal targeting crypto as, quote, unproductive wealth. So as long as you have 100,000, maybe 1,000 euros in your bank account and it's being taxed via inflation, I guess that's productive wealth. But as long as your money is in quote unquote crypto, the government of the Senate of France is calling it unproductive wealth. It goes on to say France has moved a step closer to taxing cryptocurrency holdings as part of a sweeping reform of its wealth tax system, after lawmakers approved a controversial amendment labeling digital assets as unproductive wealth. The proposal, however, must still pass through the Senate and the rest of the parliamentary process before becoming law. The amendment would replace France's existing, I can't pronounce that, IFI, the real estate wealth tax, with a broader IFI 2.0, or tax on unproductive wealth. On the reform, the scope of taxable assets would expand beyond real estate to include a range of items viewed as economically inactive or non-productive. These include luxury goods such as yachts, private jets, jewelry, collectible art, and for the first time, digital assets like Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. The amendment raises the tax threshold from 1.3 million euros to 2 million euros and replaces the current progressive rates 0.5 to 1.5% with a flat rate of 1% on the proportion of net assets exceeding that threshold. Gold, coins, classic cars, yachts, and works of art are excluded from the current tax base. Yet they represent forms of wealth that do not create jobs or innovation. This reform corrects that inconsistency. I mean, I read you the passage from the Sovereign Individual. Like, this is why this is happening, right? To use Christine Lagarde's own words, Bitcoin is an escape valve, an escape hatch. And the reaction to it is, rather than adjusting, the reaction to it is more coercion, right? Trying to coerce you to keep you within the current system. So, I mean, not surprising at all. We've been calling it for years. I've been saying that, we're entering into this era in human history where we are living through, we just lived through the disintermediation of information in the state. You saw that with the rise of social media and how independent media is now the mainstream media, I would say. More people are getting their information from the Joe Rogan podcast than corporate media. And the veil of corporate media has been lifted. You don't really trust what they have to say anymore. They might be in a very fancy studio, with a suit and with a tie, but the information that they're saying, I think what we've learned over the last 10 years doesn't really align with reality a lot of the time. That's part of the reasons that Simply Bitcoin blew up in the early years when Bitcoin wasn't a stable coin. It was because Opti and I ran into this. We were like, dude, we're kind of more accurate than corporate media, and that didn't make sense to us. So over the last 10 years, there's been this great disintermediation, which, again, the book The Sovereign Individual talks about, where people are seeking into information, doing the critical thinking, and they're not going to the mainstream approved sources. They're going to their favorite independent content creators. And that trend is going to continue to accelerate. Now, the disintermediation that's to come, that I think is going to be much more tumultuous, is the disintermediation of money. And I think that's where we're in the early innings of just that. And you guys have to understand that the state has had a monopoly on money for a very, very long time in human history. So what happens when, for the first time ever in human history, there's a money that can exist, that is uncorruptible, that is censorship resistant, that has rules without the necessity of having rulers. The rulers have to justify why they should rule. And that's exactly what central bank digital currencies are. So my statement to you guys is compare and contrast the two systems. Rather than just listening to what they have to say, rather than just taking their happy talk, their videos at face value, actually compare and contrast the two systems. CBDCs are obfuscated. You can't audit the central bank. You can't create more CBDCs. They have controls. They have limits. They have arbitrary rules that bureaucrats set. And you compare that with a free, open monetary network that has a cap supply, is completely auditable. You can audit it at any time. It's completely transparent. And there are no rules. You can transact with anybody freely. And in my opinion, I think that's going to free the world. Because right now, if you're a Venezuelan, if you're someone in Afghanistan, and I'm not talking about the politically compromised people, I'm talking about the everyday person in those countries. You have no mechanism to interact with the global economy. And that is because of those limits and rules that those bureaucrats put in place. So, yeah, this is the future that we have ahead. And I think you guys have to really, understand what's at stake here. And I don't think I'm being hyperbolic when I say the freedom of humanity is at stake. And we have a fork in the road, and we have to decide which route we want to take. Do we want to take the route of freedom, or do we want to take the route of slavery? Because that's exactly what central bank digital currencies will enable. And they're already telling you they can't help themselves. They have to control it. Because if you had a choice, you would obviously pick better money. So they want to take that choice away from you. And, I'm thinking about it more and more. You work, you get taxed, and now they get to decide what you can do with the labor that you put in. Because that's really what it is. They're getting to dictate what you can do with your labor. You spend all this time accumulating, this money, this wealth, for what? If there's these arbitrary limits, that who sets? Who do they protect? I think that's the better question. Who do they protect? Do they protect you? Or do they protect them? And I think that's the big question. And I think that's the thing that Bitcoin exposes. I think Bitcoin takes away the curtain, reveals the curtain. You could look behind the curtain. I think that's really why they don't like Bitcoin. Because it proves that you can have an open monetary network that doesn't require a government for it to run. And not only does it prove that, it proves that it's better money in the first place. So I understand Christine Lagarde coming out and saying, hey guys, I have good news. The digital euro is moving forward. I understand where she's coming from. She's coming from a place of fear. And that's what central bank digital currencies, that's where they're coming from. They're coming from places of fear, ultimately. So you have a choice as an individual to become a sovereign individual, or you have a choice to be a captured individual. Because make no mistake, if you live your life on a central bank digital currency standard, Not only will you be consistently, progressively getting poorer due to inflation, you're going to be a slave as well. To put it bluntly, like that's what it is. And a lot of these countries are now setting up exit taxes. A lot of these countries, what do you think they're going to be happy with you saying, hey, you know what? Like, I love my country. I love this country. This is great. But, Florida's looking awfully nice right now. Or Dubai's looking awfully nice right now. Or El Salvador's looking awfully nice right now. Do you think they're going to be just okay with you just saying, all right, peace, bro. I'll talk to you later. Do you think they're going to be okay with that? That's a question that I have for you guys. Of course not. Right? So anyhow, I just wanted to leave it up there. I didn't want to make the Friday show all doom and gloom, bro, but it is a pretty intense topic. What do you think, Opti?
Yeah, well, first off, I think you asked a very important question. And I know for us, we're constantly in this, maybe an echo chamber of what's going on. But when you listen to what the, officials, the institutions are saying, and you kind of break it down and you read between the lines, the question that Nico asked, I think, is the most important question that most people probably don't ask themselves. And it's, who is this actually benefiting? When they talk about the CBDC and how much you need it and how much it's going to update the system, they always say kind of a similar thing, like this is for your benefit. But in reality, if you understand their game plan, where they want this to go, the end goal, you understand this is for their benefit. This is to protect themselves. This is about total control. And of course, before I get to the solution, I think kind of expanding on the problem a little more is where most people need to maybe do just some critical thinking on it. If you listen to what she's saying, a lot of the stuff that she said is essentially, if you give us your money in the bank, it is no longer your money and we can do whatever we want with that money. Now, if you're a normal free-thinking adult, I'm sure you're hearing that, and if maybe you aren't connecting the dots, but when you hear that, you should be hearing this idea that if I give up control of my money, it is no longer my money, and they think that they can do whatever they want with that money. Now, personally, that terrifies me. It makes me angry. It's absolutely ridiculous that the people in power currently, of course, at central banks and many politicians think that, hey, you're essentially too dumb to do anything with your money, and we have the right to do whatever we want with your money. Personally, this is why I view everything going on, and I think this is where we have this maybe unique lens. It's probably, similar to everyone in the chat, but if you talk to a normal person, they don't even get this connection. They don't even ask themselves this idea. It's like, oh, okay, so when my money goes to the bank, it's no longer my money. That should literally wake most people up, but they don't even get that far. And then the second part that is even crazier to me is limiting your wealth. They're going to do a 500 or 300,000 pound or euro cap on it, or a 20K pound cap on it. And from a kind of like working class perspective, all I'm hearing is like, wait, you're literally not going to let me build wealth. You want me to go into a digital euro or a digital pound system, and you're going to cap my wealth because I can't hold more than 20K, or I can't hold more than $50,000 or $500 in saving, or $3,000 in savings. It's like, what kind of world are we talking about here? It's worse than serfdom. It's like a digital totalitarian, authoritarian serfdom. And they are trying to persuade us in this view that this is actually good for you. This is good for you. You shouldn't be able to save any money. All these really rich people, these billionaires, they're evil people. We should tax them. And hey, also, we're going to tax you, or rather, we're going to do something even worse, basically seize your property so that you can't have any money ever. It's absolutely insane. And that's the framing you should be hearing. When you hear them say, we're going to make programmable money, the CBDC is going to be good for you. Oh, we're going to cap your savings. What they're really saying is, hey, we have the right to steal from you. You don't have the right to save money. You don't have the right to save wealth. We know what's best for you. We will do whatever we want with this money. You have no opinion on this matter, because trust us, this is going to benefit your life. This is moving us into the 21st century. when I hear that, it literally makes my blood boil. It makes me so angry to hear people say, hey, you don't have a right to build wealth and get yourself out of the position that you're in, because the only way you're actually going to change your life is by building some capital. I think that's like literally the only thing that you can do. One, build your skills up so that you can get more capital and then be able to save and maintain and usher in that capital for the foreseeable future. And if they're telling you you cannot save money, that, hey, actually, we're going to have to freeze your savings account. Actually, we're going to have to take control of your money. All that hard work, all that blood, sweat, and tears, literally your precious time that you spent so that you can survive, so that you can pay for your family. Well, guess what, guys? We're going to cap that at a certain point, because you don't deserve that. You can't actually save your wealth anymore. And the fact that they're trying to frame this as this is going to be a benefit to you, me, your parents, your aunts and uncles, your family, it really is like a not only nefarious, but just disgusting kind of worldview where it's like, hey, I don't even view you as a human. You can't save any money. Like, we're going to take this money from you. Shut up. Take it. It's no concern to me. If you're not saying what we want you to say, if you're not doing what we want to do, we will literally cut you off from your own money, from your own time, from your own labor. And honestly, it's just disgusting. It makes me so mad to hear this. And this is why what we do. This is why we do what we do, because we've seen the narratives, we've seen the projections, we've seen them telegraph where they want to go. And then they're playing this social media game of trying to spin the narrative so that you will accept your own servitude. Like, this should make everyone really, really mad. But I think a lot of people are just too busy with their day-to-day lives. A lot of people are struggling right now. Things are more expensive than ever. Things are getting worse than ever. And when you hear them say stuff like this, it always makes me think of one thing. As these nation states have more trouble to stay solvent, as people wake up to the idea that most nation states are actually broke and bankrupt, they're telling you exactly what they're going to do. Hey, we are actually, we have no money, so we're just going to take your money so that we can continue the game going. I don't even like to use the terms like fair, but it's disgusting. It's absolutely evil, nefarious, and horrible. And look, I'm not even trying to paint this in like an emotional kind of plea, but it's just like, this stuff should get you very upset that they're so blatantly telling you, yeah, we are literally going to steal your property. It's insane. It's absolutely insane that they're trying to write legislation to steal from you. These people are supposed to work for us. I know the ECB and central banks are private institutions, but they come out here and they have this holier than thou, pretentious, we are, public servants. Oh, but guess what? We're going to steal from you and you're just going to have to take it. It's absolutely insane. It blows my mind that people can fall for this. It's just nuts that this is where we are. And of course, from our perspective, there's really only one solution. And that is saving in something that they can't do this with. Yeah. That's why we are so hardcore about this idea that, look, they're telling you what they want to do. They want to turn, or quote unquote, turn the dollar or the pound or the euro. They want to turn physical cash into digital cash. Now, they don't really tell you that cash is already basically digital. Yeah, you can, hold some physical cash. They've been telling you they're going to do away with physical cash. But they're also telling you, hey, we need to update this system so that we can actually control this better, so that we can take more from you, so that you literally have no hope of ever escaping the system that they're trying to implement on you. It's absolutely insane. These people, I know I'm on YouTube and I'm getting fired up. The solutions, some of them, and I'm really a chill person. But if we didn't have Bitcoin, the solutions would be horrendous, to say the least. And we don't want to see that get to this point, or get to that point. But things are this is absolutely nuts. The fact that they're out here saying this stuff publicly is just absolutely insane to me. It really blows my mind that most people do not see the problem with this. Like she should be getting ratioed on Twitter. She should just be getting demolished in the comments because no one should agree to this at all. I'm totally surprised that the European nations, the citizens of these European nations, the citizens of UK are just asleep at the wheel, docile and okay with this. Like if we heard this happen here, I think it would be absolutely insane. Even though people don't fully understand the solutions, just the fact that they're proposing this is absolutely ludicrous.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, dude, it's it's dystopian. It's dystopian. It's like a level of control. You're giving a level of control that I don't think anybody should have. Right, like that's the core concept. And again, like I just don't see this as something that society needs. Like it doesn't solve anything, right? It doesn't solve the key. Look, the key problem with money is that it inflates. That's my opinion. That's my opinion as a Bitcoiner. It inflates, so you lose your purchasing power. That's like literally money is broken. And it's horrible. The consequences of broken money. Like we can spend another 30 minutes talking about that. Central bank digital currencies don't fix that problem. They don't fix that problem. They don't. And look, and the market, I think, has determined too that people do want dollars. They do want forms of digital fiat. I think the adoption of stable coins indicate that. But again, that's not a government-run solution. That was a solution invented by the private sector. And I don't think a European CBDC that is developed by a bureaucracy is going to be able to compete with something that was developed by the private market, right? It's as simple as that. So again, like I understand, I understand where Christine Lagarde is coming from. I understand her incentives, but this is the beauty of Bitcoin. Bitcoin exposes incentives, and I think it's exposing that, hey, look, like, you're not really working for me. Like I pay your salary. I pay your salary through taxes. You're not really working for me. You're watching out for your own best interests. You're not watching out for my best interest. And I think that's what Bitcoin exposes, and it exposes it for the world to see. Right. So anyways, guys, it's going to be a fantastic show. If you guys are enjoying today's show, make sure to smash that like button. You guys are listening to Simply Bitcoin. We took a little bit of a different approach today, covering a different topic because, what's going on is pretty crazy. And you know what? By the time most people realize, I think it'll be too little too late. So it's better to get ahead of the curve, buy yourself some Bitcoin, put it in self-custody, become a sovereign individual. And that's really how you get out of this. Right? Because if not, it's just one. They want to take this in one direction. And if you think they're going to let this go, you're naive. For them, listen, this is a game of keeps. They want to win. This is what you guys have to understand, right? Again, read the book, The Sovereign Individual. I think it lays out the case, why all this is happening, the reasons as to why this is happening, and how the internet has completely changed the game. And what you're seeing is a reaction to the freedom that the internet gives you. And you're seeing, again, these very old institutions react to that freedom. And you would think a lot of these countries are democracies. A lot of these countries, they say they value freedom, but the moment rubber hits the road, it's like, oh, actually freedom light. We actually like freedom light here. We don't like actual freedom. Freedom light is actually what we're about. Right. So anyways, guys, this is going to continue to heat up. We're going to be covering it. And, through the next decade or so, this is just going to be more and more. We've been pretty accurate with our predictions here, right? Our geopolitical predictions. I think over the next decade or so, you're going to see this as more and more of a mainstream issue. So the midterms are coming up in the United States in 2026, and we're going to be doing our best to give you guys coverage of pro Bitcoin candidates, anti CBDC candidates. And again, in the country that you're from, I know we have an international audience. You know, guys, pay attention, because if not, it will be too little too late by the time most people notice. Anyways, guys, it's gonna be a fantastic show. We have tons to cover today. We have some interesting clips. Kathy Woods lowers her 2030 target from 1.5 to 1.2. So we're going to cover that. And then again, we're going to be talking about Trump's presidency, how Bitcoin has done so far during his first term. And I think how they're reacting to it, because I think this last election that happened this week and the blue victories, the massive blue victories, really was a shot across the bow. Like, you saw the poly market odds drop, the probability that the Republicans will keep the House, it dropped dramatically. It dropped by like 15-60% on the betting odds websites, right? So, you know, this is a wake-up call, right? I think people want the markets to pump. I think people want Bitcoin to pump at the end of the day, and that was one of the things that were promised by the Trump administration. My assessment is I think they're finally starting to take that seriously. So we have some clips and we have some articles to lay out that point. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic show. It's the Friday show. If you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to smash that like button. If you're watching us on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, on your favorite podcasting platform, smash that like button. Really, really, really helps with the algos. Anyways, guys, no more delay. I do want to give a very special shout out to our lead sponsor, bitcoinwell.com. The reason we recommend bitcoinwell.com here at Simply Bitcoin is that it's automatic self-custody. Buy real Bitcoin. Exchanges sell you Bitcoin IOUs. Bitcoin, they hold your keys. Bitcoin Well delivers real Bitcoin straight to your private wallet in minutes. When you buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, as soon as the funds clear, it goes straight to your self-custody Bitcoin wallet address. They provide that same service to higher net worth individuals, family offices, trusts, and organizations. It's an OTC desk designed for people that want to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more. You have to check out Bitcoin Well Infinite today. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. Tell them your friends over at Simply Bitcoin sent you, and they'll take really good care of you. All right, everybody, let's dive into the show. We have tons to cover. We're going to be right back in just a bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Stampseed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed phrases really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need for you to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates. Instead of just writing them down on paper, paper is fragile. Titanium plates are strong. Your words are actually stamped into the titanium plate with this hammer and these letter stamping tools. Once the words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. And now you can customize your titanium seed plates. You can upload your design or logo, and they will laser engrave it on the back of your seed plate, the opposite side of where the words are. Stamp your seed on Stampseed and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the stampseed.com store. All right, everybody. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $102,620. I said that wrong, but you guys get the point. Block height 922,637. Market cap 2.05 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap 7.23%. Decline from all-time high. Bitcoin's currently at almost a 20% dip. People are feeling the pain. They don't understand. It's November. What's going on? Number is supposed to be going up. What's going on? What's going on? People don't understand. People are adjusting their price targets. The Bitcoin market is humbling every single person this year. People had expectations for where the price was going to go, but the price didn't do what everyone thought it was going to do, which is how markets work. I think people underappreciated the markets People had a lot of expectations. They had a lot of high expectations for Bitcoin this year. Clearly, you know, that hasn't worked out too well. So anyways, here is Cathie Wood again adjusting her price target for 2030, her bullish price target, and she gives part of the reasons as to why she was making that adjustment. Let's check out the clip.
Bitcoin down about 16%, I think, for the month now, past month. We're at what, 102 now, 103, something like that. Where do you think we're going? I know you have big ambitions for Bitcoin.
Yes, we do. I will say one thing that has shifted for us in the last few years. Stablecoins are usurping part of the role that we thought Bitcoin would play. So our bullish forecast out there is 1.5 million by 2030. Given what's happening to stablecoins, which are serving emerging markets in a way that we thought Bitcoin would, I think we could take maybe $300,000 off of that bullish case just for stablecoins. So watch that space. Stablecoins are scaling here, I think, much faster than anyone would have expected.
So, Cathie, this is news because this is a different expectation.
So again, this is you know, how many price adjustments have been changed over the last week or so. I don't know what's going on with this camera optic; it keeps getting out of focus. But yeah, I don't know how many expectations have been changed over the last week or two. You know, the markets have a way of humbling you, and again, I think the key word is expectation. I think a lot of people had expectations for you know, a more positive, more bullish 2025, especially since you have a pro Bitcoin administration going into the White House, and that isn't at all what's been happening. That isn't at all what's been happening. You've had something, you know, completely different happen. So yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting. I think we are in uncharted territory right now. That we've had basically two of the most bullish months historically have been red so far. And you know, some people are saying the cycle is over. Some people are talking about extended cycles. But at the end of the day, we shall see. This is uncharted territory, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know. We don't know. And I actually like the fact that I could say we don't know what's going to happen with the price, because all I've been seeing this year is price predictions left, right, here, there. I even said my own expectations where I thought the price of Bitcoin would go. And so far, listen, even the most popular, the most well followed, I'm not going to name any names. A lot of these people are my friends. Everyone has got it catastrophically effing wrong this year. Just totally wrong. Totally wrong. And now the expectations are, you know, are being, you know, set a little bit, saying, hey, you know what? Calm down, bro. Calm down. So Opti, I want to get your take. I want to get your opinion, bro, because even Cathie Wood, bro, remember we were using that bullish expectation for a long time on the show. Seems like we can't use that title anymore, bro.
No, we're all bears now. We're all bears. I honestly, I think that's kind of the takeaway, Nico, where since we had no clue what's going on this year, everyone was completely wrong. I think, especially since Cathie Wood is like, you know, a big figure, she heads a company or is the figurehead of a company. I think what we're seeing right now is that everyone is essentially trying to temper expectations. I think people are, you know, being a little less bullish because we saw this year wasn't that good. And it is kind of like a saving face moment, I would argue. What I do kind of agree with her is this stablecoin idea. It's not something that I really want to see, but it is actually happening, that stablecoins and further, you know, the Trump administration has been pushing stablecoins. They want to expand stablecoins. It is going to this idea that a lot of people are adopting stablecoins more so than going into Bitcoin. I think there's something to this idea that people are just so used to the dollar that they like that quote unquote dollar stability, but they're not doing second order thinking and realizing that they're losing value by saving in the dollar. And it's an unfortunate development, I would say. But if we have anything, any kind of power, any kind of influence, and we will continue to do this day in and day out, we want more people holding Bitcoin. So hopefully we can look back on this in 5 years and be like Kathy Wood was wrong. I think that, I forget what the...
Are you calling for $1.5 million?
I'm
Bitcoin
calling for more than that, bro.
Wow.
I'm calling for more.
Let's get to 200K first.
I am with you.
If we get there before we're 85,
not gonna happen.
Anyways, guys, we have a fantastic show lined up for you guys. We still have a ton to talk about. There's a Forbes article that dropped talking about what's going on with the Trump administration. A lot of people had expectations for his presidency. I tell you guys all the time, when Trump was inaugurated, the price of Bitcoin was $109,000. 10 to 11 months later, the most pro Bitcoin president ever, right? The price of Bitcoin's at $102,000, right? Personally, I was very excited for the Trump administration coming in and the end of Operation Choke Point 2.0. But simultaneously, the most important promise that I think that most people cared about was number go up. And that obviously hasn't come to fruition. So anyways, guys, we're going to be talking about all that. We're going to be right back in just a bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, Ledin, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans. Unlock the liquidity in your Bitcoin without having to sell your Bitcoin. They've issued $9 billion in loans to over 10,000 customers since 2018. I absolutely love these guys. Not only do I have an account with them, but I also have a loan. And what I love about them is that there are no monthly payments, and you could pay back the loan at any time. As soon as you send your Bitcoin as collateral, you'll have cash in your account within 24 hours. Over 1,000 five-star customer reviews, and they've never lost a single dollar or sat of customer money. Go to learn.ledin.io/simply today, and you'll get 0.25% off your first loan. I want to give a shout out to our partner, sat123.com. Sovereignty isn't just about your money. It's about your communications too. When the grid goes down, most people go dark. Cell towers fail in hurricanes, cyber attacks, and blackouts. But satellite phones, they don't rely on local infrastructure. Iridium has 77 satellites in orbit, giving you a direct line anywhere in the US, even offshore. If you hold your own Bitcoin keys, you should hold your own comms too. Sat123.com also has everything you need to start building your Bitcoin citadel. Starlink, battery backups, Faraday bags to protect your hardware wallets, and much, much more. It's a one-stop shop for anyone serious about resilience and off-grid independence. Stay connected, stay independent, stay sovereign. Go to sat123.com/simply today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on the store. I want to give a shout out to our partner, BitKey. If you already self-custody your Bitcoin, you know the deal with hardware wallets by now. Complex setups, clumsy interfaces, and a seed phrase that can be lost, stolen, or forgotten. BitKey fixes that. BitKey is a multi-sig hardware wallet built by the team behind Square and CRASHOUT. It packs a cryptographic recovery system and built-in inheritance feature into an intuitive, easy-to-use wallet with no seed phrase to sweat over. It's simple, secure, self-custody without the stress. Time named BitKey one of the best inventions of 2024. Get 20% off at bitkey.world. That's BITKEY.world with the code SIMPLY. All right, everybody, go to bitkey.world today. Use promo code SIMPLY. Get yourself a BitKey hardware wallet. Again, one of the easiest hardware wallets to use on planet Earth. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin. Literally the entire first segment of this show was like an indirect message of becoming sovereign and taking self-custody of your coins. Let's check out this article. dropped by Forbes. And it's interesting. It's almost as if Forbes watches Simply Bitcoin, because we did go ham.
Dude, our boy Billy Bamball for sure watches.
We did go ham a couple days ago talking about this topic. Forbes, the headline: Trump bet big on Bitcoin. His timing couldn't have been worse. Donald Trump, the crypto skeptic termed chief crypto advocate, became one of the world's biggest Bitcoin investors this summer when his Trump Media and Technology Group purchased $2 billion of the cryptocurrency on stage at Bitcoin conference in Las Vegas. One day after news of the plan became public, first son Donald Trump Jr. couldn't help but gloat. I think you saw all the announcement yesterday. He said, his voice raising like a politician, anticipating applause. We're very long crypto. I mean, it's a huge part of everything we do right now. The price of Bitcoin has jumped 57% in a year. Dom Jr. predicted it would increase about 35 to 60% more in the year to come. Next to him on stage, his brother Eric foresaw a 55% jump. A half year later, those calls look like signs of an overheated market. From the time Trump Media purchased his pile of Bitcoin in July, the cryptocurrency is down an estimated 12%. The president, it turns out, got in at the top or pretty close to it. Volatility is inherent in crypto. As Donald Trump pointed out in 2019, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money, and whose value is highly volatile based on thin air, he tweeted at the time. 5 years later, with crypto money pouring into the 2024 election, he changed his tone. You are the modern day Edsons, Wright brothers, and Carnegies and Henry Fords, he told a gathering of Bitcoin enthusiasts in Nashville. As the price of Bitcoin soared, the president's social media business flailed. Truth Social, Trump's media copycat of Twitter, never attracted as many users as the original. Its market debuted in early 2024, nonetheless caught the imagination of meme stock traders who liked the idea of Trump-powered social media app. Then Elon Musk purchased the real Twitter, reversed Trump's ban, and made the idea of a more conservative Twitter seem pointless. Losses piled up at Trump Media, and shares tanked, declining 68% from their peak, erasing $3.3 billion from Trump's net worth by May. Surely hoping to spawn another stock surge, Trump Media announced its Bitcoin play that month, promising the president, who now owns 51% of the shares, an indirect position in the cryptocurrency, roughly $830 million. Investors, perhaps wary after the company's struggles, didn't think much of the idea. Shares dropped 19% in 3 days, and Trump lost another $560 million. Of course, this is on paper. At some point between July 1st and July 21st, it's not clear exactly when, Trump Media amassed its Bitcoin stockpile, buying when the price was an estimated $115,000 per coin. It looked like a decent bet for a while, with Bitcoin moving up and down in a relatively tight band. Then over the last month, the cryptocurrency dropped 17%. Trump's media Bitcoin holdings, which cost $2 billion, are now worth an estimated $1.7 billion. Shares of Trump Media, which assumed about $1 billion of debt in the process, fell 24%, wiping out $490 million of Trump's now $6.7 billion personal fortune. A turnaround in Bitcoin's price could send the stock and the president's net worth up again. A little bit of an observation here. It seems like not even the president of the United States is immune from paying Bitcoin's price of tuition. Because, like, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. Like, it goes into the details of all of this stuff. But again, these are a lot of the expectations that a lot of us were thinking, heading into the year. A lot of us were thinking you had a pro Bitcoin president. We just got out of Operation Choke Point 2.0. And the fact is that Bitcoin's price, despite a hostile administration, was performing better under Joe Biden than it's performed under President Trump. And that's a fact, right? So I don't know what's going on here. I have no idea. Could this be market manipulation to get more cheap Bitcoin? Could this be the Federal Reserve purposely sabotaging the Trump administration because they have a pro Bitcoin outlook. But I will say this. I think that if the Republicans don't start delivering economically, they're going to get murked during the midterms. They're not going to do well during the midterms. That's just a reality. They're not going to do well, right? So, you know, they gotta, and I think they know that. And I'll back that up with a clip from Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, talking about how he foresees 2026 to be a more positive year.
As you may know, I am also not only the Treasury Secretary, but I am the IRS Commissioner, and I can see what is happening with withholding. So the president's working class, they had tax policies, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, deductibility on auto loans of American-made cars. No one has changed their withholding for 2025. So in the first quarter of 2026, working families are going to see very good refunds coming out. They will change their withholding on January 1, so they will get real wage increases. And, you know, as you said, inflation is under control. And, you know, I think the economy is going to go gangbusters.
So let's see. I mean, he's saying that. Also, Trump said this in one of his most recent speeches.
For 3 years to embrace a vital industry here in Miami. I've also signed historic executive orders to end the federal government's war on crypto. Crypto is under siege. It's not under siege anymore because it's a big industry. It's a big industry, and I have a lot of people that are great people, great business people. They're in other businesses, but they're in crypto too. And it takes a lot of the pressure off the dollar. It does a lot of good things, but we're into it. Biden was vicious on crypto. They were going after these crypto guys. It was terrible. They were under indictment, but I got indicted too. I got indicted. I made a phone call. Congratulations on your victory. He made a phone call. Let's indict him. These people are the worst. Then they say, he's gone after Comey. They indicted me. They impeached me. They did everything. It's unbelievable. Who the hell else could have taken that? Do you guys know anybody else that could have taken it? I don't think so. A lot of people say, you're the only one could have taken that. I don't know if that's true, but there aren't too many. We're making the United States the Bitcoin superpower, the crypto capital of the world, and the undisputed leader in artificial intelligence. We're leading China by a lot. And don't forget, if we don't do the crypto properly, China wants to do it. They're starting it, but they want to do it. Other countries want to do it. If we don't do it, it's a big industry. We're honored to be.
So that was one of his most recent speeches. Again, he's spitting facts. Like, it's true, right? Did I end Operation Choke Point 2.0? I do have to say this though. One of the Samourai wallet developers, he was officially sentenced, and he got the maximum sentence possible for his guilty plea for operating an unlicensed money transmitter. He will serve 60 months in prison and pay a $250,000 fine. More details on today's sentencing hearing soon. So again, the overall industry, I think, is in better shape. I think ending Operation Choke Point 2.0 was really important. But privacy, that doesn't seem to be getting the attention that it should be getting, right? So yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that's missing from Trump completing his promise and me being a super Trump fan again, like I was in the beginning of the year, is the price to pump. So, let's see what happens, man. Let's see what happens.
Well, Nico, there is a couple of things I agree with. One, obviously, as I was saying yesterday, there does seem to be an active attack on privacy, which is highly concerning. The second thing you said is I do believe the Trump administration is very clearly watching the economy. I think they understand what's at stake. if they don't figure out the economic issues, if people don't feel wealthier, then they're going to get absolutely devastated next year in the midterms. And that's not going to look good for 2028. So I think they're very keenly aware of that. Now, this is where I think we might differ. And it's honestly, guys, it's going to be a little crazy because usually Nico's the one standing MAGA. And I think at this point, I'm actually going to kind of do something similar. And I'm not here to kind of go full MAGA on you or go full Trump. It's the best. But I think what is kind of been on my mind lately is I see they are trying to do stuff. Now, I am not very aware in politics or even on all the moves that Scott Besson is doing. But what I do see with a lot of the stuff they're doing, and I know it does seem like there's some form of distraction. Like, I know sometimes the messaging isn't as clear as we would all like, and there has been a lot of pushback against him. And I'm hoping that they do listen. Anyways, the reason I'm saying this is because if you kind of look at where we are right now, not just for the last year, you zoom out a little bit, like you're not going to turn around, years and years and years of decay and really bad policy in 1 year. It's kind of the same idea of like, if you gain a lot of weight, you're not going to lose it very quickly if you jump back into the gym and start eating good. Like, it takes a while for things to change. And it is kind of one of those lower your time preference moments. And it is kind of funny to me that like I'm here like sticking up for the Trump administration and Nico's feeling like, bro, they forgot about us. Because I think it's taking time. I think they're trying. And again, I'm as skeptical as anyone. But it does seem like they are trying to kind of turn the ship. Now, the biggest thing, though, is like for a lot of people, and me included, and I think people that were very pro-Trump, even a lot of the Bitcoiners that are very pro-Trump, it does seem like he may have forgot about his voter base. And I think that's what's making everyone feel a little concerned. I think that's what's making people feel like, oh, they're not listening to us. They're not doing the right thing. Everyone's very critical. But I know I've been saying, the midterms are coming up. They are running out of time. But if anyone can like kind of do the impossible, I think it is Trump. And so I'm just like, look, I know politics and institutions, they move very slow. They move a lot slower than we want them to do. And especially when you're kind of talking about turning around like decades of bad economic policy. And you can be very, very critical and say like, the MAGA America first for the little man kind of narrative it's like not who we're not who he's working for. He's working for the institutions, the industrial financial complex. Like I'm totally on board with that. But I think if we kind of take him at his word, and I know a lot of people in the chat are like, you can't take him on his word, but it does seem like they are trying economically to change the plumbing and they are trying to, reroute this ship. I'm just saying at this point, like, it's hard to really pick out the noise from the signal. And it does seem like again, you guys know me. I'm a big Tom Luongo fan, and he came from like a very libertarian perspective. And recently, in a lot of the stuff he's saying is like people don't understand what he's doing, and he's actually trying and doing good stuff. So I am kind of holding out my opinion on what they're doing right now because
good cop, bad cop today.
Yeah, a little opposite. And it is interesting because you're usually more pro-Trump. I'm more kind of cynical and skeptical. But I think it is a little too early to tell. And the reason I kind of am feeling this way is because, if Nico is getting burnt out on the Trump administration right now, then that's what makes me kind of think like, okay, I know I'm super critical. Me and Nico have these arguments all the time off air. Like we get in heated political arguments, and I'm like a rookie in politics, but we always get these conversations. And I just think we need to kind of hold back because we really don't know what's going on. Again, a lot of the stuff we're seeing has been misdirection, and a lot of people are sticking to certain narratives that really are outdated. There is a lot of, biased against Trump. And I think that article is like, to me, when I was reading that, I was a little disappointed in Forbes, to be honest. They've been really good in their in their journalism recently. To me, that just sounded like a hit piece. And even though I agree, like, I want to see Bitcoin pump. He said we're going to pump it. And I do believe that they're looking at Bitcoin as one of their economic factors to show that they're doing good. But to me, that just sounded like a hit piece. Yes, Bitcoin this year has been very disappointing in price terms. But the Trump media group, they're like the number 8 Bitcoin treasury right now. They just bought like another 400 coins, I believe, this morning. So like, I think they are trying. I'm not here to be, like, whitewashing the Trump administration, because me, I'm as critical as anyone, and I've come on the show and said some probably pretty nasty things about the Trump administration throughout the year, but I think they are trying, and we're getting to this point right now where there is like a fork in the Trump administration, and if they don't listen to what the base is doing, like, the Republicans are cooked for 2028. Yeah, they're cooked for 2026 midterms. It's over.
I think they burnt so much daylight this year focusing on issues that their core voter base did not really care about. Like the donor class, maybe, but the core voter base did not really care about. And I think,
and that's like the huge divide. I don't know. Did you see the numbers from the you did bring up the elections that just happened, and I think I'm blanking on the exact number, but he lost like 10% of the younger generation, which is exactly what Nico's been saying, is like, if they don't figure this out, and I know a big part of the donor base was Bitcoiners, like, we could say we kind of were the last push to get him elected, and if they forget about us and they forget about the young people and what they want, it's not looking good, just to say the least.
No, it's not looking good at all. And I think that's like, again, look, at the end of the day, guys, like, if you're young in the United States, like, you are going through right now. You're going through right now. You can't afford. This is why they elected who they elected in New York. There's an affordability crisis, right? And that's why you have populist movements coming up on the left and on the right. Like, people are not about the establishment anymore. They feel like the establishment has failed them. And Trump, I think a part of the reason he was able to win over Kamala and Joe Biden was because he was seen as this populist candidate. But what I've seen over the last 10 months or so is I feel like he's forgot about his base, right? And those low propensity voters didn't come out in this week's election, right? They didn't come out. They didn't want to go out and vote. And Trump's the only people that can get those people to come out and vote. But again, you kind of need to incentivize them. And again, I'm a single issue voter.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Nico, if you want to get the Bitcoiners back in, then print the money, destroy the dollar, and buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, like it's pretty simple.
No, that's horrible. That's horrible.
We're really happy with the regulatory side of things. Like, it's fantastic. I'm not trying to downplay that, but like, the first pro Bitcoin candidate, and price isn't doing so hot, right? And I know what a lot of people are saying. Nico, the price has nothing to do with the president. Okay, fine. I'll take that argument at face value. Sure. Every single big ass mother effing dump that we've had this year came from a Truth Social post. The massive dumps that we've seen came from a Truth Social post. So, like,
hey yo, Nico, did you ever watch that one documentary about the Trump campaign where he had like that one blonde lady tweeting for him? Whoever that lady was, can you just take the tweets away?
I'm being dead serious right now. Like, that one, like, the biggest drops that we've seen this year have come because the president goes on Truth Social and he talks about the tariffs, right? And I think this is why you're seeing Scott Bessent change tune. Like, this is why they're changing tune. Listen, the midterm is literally a year away. It's a year away. They have a year to turn this ship around.
No, they got less than that, bro. They got like 6 months.
Yeah, dude, they got a year, like 6 months to turn this ship around, or it's like you're not going to get people out there motivated voting. And you're hearing this from, we were super pro-Trump in exactly a year ago during the election. We were super pro. We endorsed Trump for president. And the beginning of the year, we were pro-Trump too. And I think it was super important for our movement, super important for Bitcoin entrepreneurs, Bitcoin businesses in the United States to end Operation Choke Point 2.0. But here we are 10 months later, and from like a price perspective, it's gone flat. Like Bitcoin became a stable coin, right? So eventually I think, we're going to want to see number go up. So let's see, guys. I think it's really exciting to me, at least, because over these next 2 months or so, we're really going to know whether the cycles are a thing or the cycles are over. And if the cycles are over, I am so effing happy, because Opti and I are going to have a great time next year, literally covering things as they come, because nobody on planet Earth is going to have any idea how to chart this thing if the cycles are broken. Or we could be heading into a bear market. But I will say this about a bear market. If we are heading into a bear market, I don't think it's going to be that crazy, because you don't get, like, we never had a parabola. So if you don't have a parabola, you're not going to get those 50, 60, 70, 80% drawdowns. They wouldn't make sense, right? It's been this slow, methodical grind up, right? We've had a very slow, methodical grind up in Bitcoin terms. So to see a parabola coming, I don't know. So let's see what
I like this tweet. 4-year cycle is in price discovery.
let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. We'll stay on top of it. Anyways, guys, let's get to the culture. Let's end Friday strong. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're trolling. We're gonna pour one out for the greatest trader of our generation.
All right, we're gonna be right back in just a bit. I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner, HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. I want to give a shout out to our partner, bitcoinben.io. If you're into freedom, Bitcoin, and building a real community, this is for you. Gain exclusive access to real-world, members-only, private clubs across the globe, featuring poker nights, expert-led classes, co-working spaces, educational meetups, live events, and more. Current locations include Sarasota, Nashville, Boston, Dallas, Las Vegas, and St. Louis, with new clubs launching soon in West Palm Beach, Scottsdale, Alabama, and beyond. Not to mention Bitcoin Ben's resorts in El Salvador. There's 3 of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. You'll also get access to the first fully backed Bitcoin bank with fiat ramps and savings accounts. It's called Private Key Bank, and you guessed it, it's based out of El Salvador. Go peer-to-peer with Bitcoin bulk buys, tap into home equity for long-term Bitcoin growth, and join their exclusive mining pools if you're interested in mining. What are you waiting for? Head over to bitcoinben.io, join today, where Bitcoin meets freedom.
All right, guys. Nico, it's the end of an era. Guys, it's an end of an era. We're pouring one out for the greatest trader of our generation. Actually, not just our generation, our parents' generation as well. So what am I talking about? Nancy Pelosi won't seek re-election, ending her storied career in the U.S. White House. The greatest trader of our generation is officially out. Literally has been around DC since JFK's time. Dude, end of an era. Absolutely end of an era.
she's worth $150 million.
Yeah, what's a politician's
175K was her salary.
Dude, such a good trader. Honestly, the best trader of our generation. Yes, end of an era. Sorry, wrong one. End of an era.
Did the light go out?
Yeah, something just went off. Anyways, here's Trump's response here, which is hilarious. Nancy Pelosi, the old and broken political hack who impeached me twice in laws, is finally calling quits. She illegally made a fortune in the stock market, ripped off the American public, and was a disaster for America. I'm glad to see her go. Yo, absolutely hilarious. But no, I mean, look, I am kind of trolling. It is Friday. I wanted to troll a little bit. You know, we do a little troll on Friday. But my like kind of this is where I want to bring Nico in the chat, and then I will kind of I do have one kind of, you know, final send off for what we should be watching over the weekend. But my question here, Nico, is since she retired, since she's officially out, does this mean that she's selling the top and she knows a recession or depression is coming in? Or is this going to be good for the economy? That's my question to you. Is this the top? Is it going to get worse?
You know,
or is it going to get better?
As much as I initially rooted for the government shutdown, I was like, you know, like, this is great because, like, obviously I'm a small government type of person, like minimize the state to like as small as possible. I think the government shutdown will start affecting, you know, asset prices. And I think, you know, that's what's happening right now. I think the moment that you hear an announcement that the government reopens, I think that there's a high probability we're going to rip to the upside. Even if it's just for like a little while. So I don't know. She's also very old, man. Like, she's also very old. And as much as I don't agree with a lot of the things that she did politically, you know, she has been around for a very long time. I think she was the first Madam Speaker, I believe. I could be wrong there, but let me see.
Someone got Big Short 2 confirmed. Yeah, dude, honestly, I saw this and like, look, on like a human level, obviously, like,
yeah, she was the first woman who served as the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives.
And what year was that?
2007.
Okay.
2007. So as much as, again,
when did her political career start?
As much as I disagree with a lot of her stances, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, she was a legend in her own right, and she actually crushed it.
As a trader,
not like, you know, as a stock trader, right? Like, we got to be specific here.
Yeah, as a stock trader. What does the other trader mean? Yeah, no, not like as a stock trader. Yeah. Okay, my bad.
So, so she absolutely crushed it, you know. And
dude, best trader of our generation.
Best stock trader.
Sorry, I forget. I forget this is a financial show. It's best stock trader of our generation.
Best stock trader of our financial generation of our generation, right?
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, look, like on a human level, like Nico's saying, legend in her own right. My mom loves Nancy Pelosi, by the way. She's a huge fan of Nancy Pelosi, and we argue all the time about it. But literally my first thought was like, dude, did she just sell the top for the last time? You know, gets out, the market's gonna go into a depression. She's got a fat bag of fiat, scoops it up. That was literally my first thought. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, it would be terrible for the Trump administration. You know, like the Republicans would get creamed, man.
No, 100%.
They would get creamed during the midterms. I think they know this, by the way. I think that this is like a well-known thing. And I think that's like one of the reasons that Scott Bassett is saying, hey, I feel optimistic about 2026. But my response to that is like, bro, what took you so long? You know, like God damn. And like those Truth Social posts, like, they didn't help. Like, I might be complaining here, and again, like, you know, Trump's a smart guy, like, and there's a plan and all that stuff, but That's not that type of show. I'm like talking about my own lived experience this year and like,
hey, Nico, I said it the other day and you kind of got angry at me. It's like, look, let's say what you want about Trump as the first Bitcoin president, but what have you done for my bags? anyways, I do want to send this off on one thing. I did bring this up yesterday. We are, I'm not going to do some chart boy on you guys, but I'm going to bring a chart. This is what I want you guys to watch over the weekend, because I think this is very important to watch right now. A very interesting moment right now. Wow, it just kicked us off again. They don't want you to get the signal. As I was telling you guys, I don't know if you guys saw Bitcoin Mag this morning, but they were making the case that we are, just breaking this trend here, and I'll chart boy it for you, basically like that. Like we just broke this trend that we had from 2023. Technically, I would say they're right, but I don't really think that this line is what's actually holding it up. What I want you guys to watch over the weekend, and we still have 2 days, but if we close under this 50-week moving average, guys, which is at, let me check right here. 50-week moving average is at 102,983. So if we close under that 50-week moving average and it's not a wick, I'm honestly going to start feeling extremely bearish. So that's what I want everyone to watch this weekend. Yeah, that's what I want everyone to watch this weekend. I mean, it's just if it closes, like where we are right now, it could do a wick here. Like I'll show you again. We could totally wick below it. But if we close under that 50-week moving average, I'm honestly not feeling very hot about the price. And you know me, I'm uber bullish on everything, but that dude, we're on a precarious time right now. Okay. That's all I'm going to say here. Let's hope we close above the 50-week moving average. It's been supporting us since 2023. So that's what I want you guys to watch this weekend. We'll see. I'll come back on Monday and I'll do the culture on it. Not chart bowling, but we'll talk about it and our vibes on it. So that's what I'm watching this weekend. That's what I suggest you guys watch this week, and hopefully we have some action once the markets close after 5 p.m. today Eastern. And if we do, I'm gonna be feeling extremely bullish.
We're at 102,500, so
we need like $400.
$400.
Yeah.
Bucks.
So,
anyways, if you guys enjoyed today's show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Consider subscribing. Enjoy the weekend. Go outside, get some sun, touch some grass, eat some steak, spend time with your family, and of course, we'll be back tomorrow for. We'll be back on Monday for a brand new episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. Take care, everybody.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.